Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all for joining me again. This is for Monday, March 18th, 2024. So, hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, ready to get back into the markets or just in general. We've got quite a busy week ahead of us. And before we start in with that, I do want to have a quick word about the MMRI and why this is our favored risk indicator. So, right now it's hovering in high risk, but it's been kind of consolidating in this area. And so that kind of tells us that when the move happens, it will likely be a larger move depending on the direction that it goes. So, what this is made of, basically, because I was asked by someone, is it is an aggregate of the relative strength of the dollar along with the 10-year yield, and it is kind of tied together using pi, which is the golden ratio. So, that's also the basis for Fibonacci sequences and many math bases. So those tied together basically make it a lot easier to look at this as an indicator number and tell where we're at and how it's moving. So with that, we do also have the relative strength of the dollar for those a bit more traditional, as well as the 10-year yield. So right now, the story that it's telling relatively flat between the stocks and the futures, and the volatility index is up only slightly, but not really making a move. So a hesitant kind of a Monday, anticipating still really what the big number of the week will be is Wednesday, when Jerome Powell speaks about rates. So sentiment, we're getting home builder confidence today and the 20-year bond sale, but really not much else. So with this calendar, as you can see, really are waiting for Wednesday. We've got our earnings board up here as well. So this is for Monday, and I've also got Tuesday up because prior to open is Xpeng. They are, if you're not familiar with them, a Chinese electric vehicle company, and they've been doing very well this year. So if you're trading that one, be caution, their earnings are coming out. So moving forward to banking and the economy in general, we are looking forward to basically a week of central banks and their rate hikes decision. So stock market is bracing for the reality check that Jerome Powell may not cut rates as rapidly as they're basically pricing in. So I think that's the pullback that we've been seeing the few days, is that realization. So along with that, we've got the Swiss National Bank to start cutting rates in June, is what they are expecting. They don't know yet for sure. We've also got the question of what Bank of England will be doing this week as well, with the outlier always the Bank of Japan, which may actually hike their rates because they've been having low zero interest rates, negative rates, really. So we'll see what happens with them. So really, the narrative that's going on right now, they're kind of setting the stage so that everybody gets used to rate cuts and the idea of it happening in June. So, as I was saying, the Eurozone will have to basically do their cuts first. Otherwise, uh, their economy will be decimated because the United States is the behemoth that moves markets. So, looks like JP Morgan, I don't care for them very much, mega bank. However, they agree with me on this because they're saying US stocks have beaten European equities, but not for much longer. And so the drive behind that would be if the European Central Bank and the Bank of England do their rate cuts, basically that eases up on their currency, and that would make their relative costs or prices for their stocks rise. So their stock market would boom, much like the United States stock market would boom if Jerome Powell cut the rates, which is what the market was waiting for. So looks like they're going to be looking at cutting in June. We'll see what Jerome Powell says on Wednesday regarding US. Okay, so market news. We've got the administration is really pushing everyone to go into electric vehicles. And so what they're doing is penalizing your fossil fuel traditional gas vehicles. And they're hoping that this will make everybody purchase electric vehicles. Well, I'm saying not until either the price comes down or people start making more money, because the real economy, people are cutting on their spending. and a new electric vehicle is not on the list. So with that, we've got an electric vehicle from China. They're launching a new version of their hybrid. So lower starting price, and I think hybrids are really what looks like are going to be the mover when things start going. So a little bit about Vanguard now. Vanguard is wealth management company, and they were going to put out a Bitcoin ETF. The reason I'm bringing them up is because they chose to go against it. And I think it's because they realize that Bitcoin, the exchange traded funds, can be much more easily manipulated. And they were also way off weighted by BlackRock in their favor. So to compete with them on that direct level would be, I think, a mistake on their part. They know this. So instead, what they had done prior to this is they basically aggregated a fund. It's under the ticker DAP, DAPP. This is not financial advice. However, what they did was they put related stocks like miners, such as Mara, Bitcoin miners, as well as Coinbase, the exchange fund, and a couple of others together. So it moves pretty well with it. Did pay a dividend, so they chose to do something else. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because the imbalance in Bitcoin ETFs at the moment, that's going to have to work itself out. Okay, so moving over to Reddit, they're supposed to have their IPO right now, but they're facing a probe by the FTC. I talked about this last weekend about handing over consumer data to artificial intelligence training without their consent. So, could be issues for them. That'll be interesting. In the real world, we've got the United States economy finally showing that it's cooling in the numbers in the first quarter. So, inflation continuing, we've been talking about that. That is simply a reflection of the amount of money supply going out there, as well as the velocity. So, with all of the spending going on, inflation continuing as it will, unless we go into a deflationary recession, which would be worse than inflation, in my opinion. However, moving forward, you will hear about this. Everybody's talking about it, that Apple and Google are in talks over using Google's artificial intelligence as a unit on Apple with their stacked chip technology that they're talking about. So both stocks are on the rise. I think Apple's got a lot going for them now. They've been beat down lately. We'll see. So those two are on the rise right now, and we'll see what the market brings. So a couple of lava updates, really. I wanted to bring this up because there's been rapid progression in this and really moving forward. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, or short, they call them CBP. So they're advancing with the biometrics and mobile passport control. So pretty soon you won't need a passport. They are moving towards fully digital. And this is facial biometrics. And they're using this already at all international airports. They're calling it simplified arrival. And they're also using it in multiple exit processes at 49 airport locations, also 38 seaports. So while this seems like a good thing and it is simplifying this, there is no choice about it. So it will use facial recognition tied to artificial intelligence. And if there is major concern that has not been brought up about locking down freedom of movement, it's a very real possibility. So just wanted to bring that up because they are moving this forward and it's expanding rapidly. Okay, so with that, I wish you all a wonderful week. Green trading day if you're a trader. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.